This could have been 400 pages shorter and it still would have been way too much. I'm not finishing it. I need to DNF that book and not finish it before I finish myself. I don't care that my background is a refrigerator and a living room. There are so many things that are not likable about that book. First off, the suffering has no layers. Unless you count layers in the way that when you let the dogs out, they have a favorite place to go poop. And when you go to mow the lawn, there's layers upon layers of poo. Okay, so let's get to what it's about. It's about suffering and more suffering and suffering. I have read sad books before. I cried at The Grapes of Wrath, and I read about Thomas Paine's biography. I have read books where there are unlikable characters. I read Carl Panzram's autobiography, and honestly, I felt a little more sympathy for him than I did for Jude. This book is so dense and such incredible pain porn that I am here like, why is everybody singing this author's praises? Let me try and pronounce her name. The cover fell off. I didn't rip it off. It just fell off. Hanya Yanagihara. If I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. But I have speculation about her. I looked her up. I found she is a 51-year-old American novelist and editor. I'm going to go out and say probably not developmentally. Probably not a developmental editor. Probably just a line editor. Because this book switches tenses. This book has pockets upon... It does not even pockets. Unless you count pockets as in wormholes and deep space pockets and fucking pockets on men's pants. It has epic piles of walls of text of the characters' repetitive psychotic thoughts. And I'm just sitting here like, what am I doing? Why have I done this to myself? Why have I been like, I'm determined to finish this book? Why did I buy into the hype? I bought into the hype with Lil Nas X, and to be honest, Call Me By Your Name is just an okay song. But I saw everybody crying and shitting their pants over this book, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. And then it wasn't the right time in my life to read it, and I decided to read other things. I started reading this, I think, in 2023, the year of me having absolutely, like, my mental state was fucked. There are times when I identify with Jude, like doing anything to stave off the voices in your head that tell you to harm yourself. Anything. I am here. I had a frustrating night at work, and then I decided I've suffered enough. I can't finish that. So let's get into structurally. Other than the big walls of text where basically the same sentence is repeated in many different fancy, flowery ways to where, let me tell you how it feels. I'm going to say something that's probably going to make you want to jab you're going to want to stick a freaking ice pick. Give yourself a lobotomy, right? There are, on these big walls of text, so many parentheses, so many em dashes, so many semicolons, so many colons, so many commas, so many ellipses, and so many repeated words that right now, don't you feel so freaking annoyed that I said so many? Yeah, well, God, let me just grab the thing, open to a random spot, and show you what I mean. BRB. Also, this book can kiss my entire ass by calling a segment the happy years. I hate the way this is set up. I'm going to get to how it's set up, and then we'll read a page or half a passage. First off, why? Why? I can think of like 4 characters that don't need to be in the book. JB, Malcolm, Black Henry Young, and Asian Henry Young. Don't know who they are? They're there in name only. They exist on the page for some reason. What's the reason? I don't know. I'm over here like Cardi B. What was the reason? Anyway, Lispenard Street is the first thing. That's where Willem and Jude are moving into an apartment above like a restaurant or some shit. I don't know. I don't hate myself enough to go find out again. That goes from page 3 to page 95. And you know why it takes so long, other than the big blocks of text and the rambling and the yap, 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 is because we are having unclear time jumps and we're having unnecessary scenes with JB and Malcolm, just so when we hit the postman about halfway through, which starts on page 95, we can just say, fuck JB and Malcolm, who cares about them? What? I don't, you know what, honestly, I can't even remember if both of them are black or whatever. It took a lot of reading to realize that Malcolm, who I can't remember what he does, what his ethnicity is, but it took a lot of reading in the chapter Vanities and the Axiom of Equality to remember that Malcolm is one of the ones that actually likes girls. Anyway, the postman, that chapter's longer than that Kevin Costner movie. It goes from 95 to 241. And in the postman, we meet Harold. I can't remember the particulars of how we met Harold or what he even is, other than, I think, a college professor who has a more hands-on approach to helping his young law students or something like that. And then he takes a liking to Jude because Jude reminds him of his son. And I'm reading this and I'm getting the distinct impression that his son was like 28 or something when he died. But no, later on we learn he's 4. And this book feels like the author was like, I don't need to go back and reread my stuff. I mean, shit talk me all you want. I try my best to make sure that I don't restate something, that I don't foreshadow something twice, that I don't repeat something. In my book, Chenille, I did make a boo-boo, right? I made a boo-boo, and I had her notice Roddy's gap in his teeth twice. So I decided, okay, since she's already noticed this gap in his teeth, let's change it to a laugh line. And I try my best to not have more words is good words. Anyway, then the next segment, oh, hold the hell on. Vanities. Relatively short, or at least it felt short. It didn't feel like walking straight into the marshes of sadness or cleaning my oven the way Sylvia Plath did. But by that time, Malcolm is successful in whatever the hell he's doing, I forget, and the author forgets too, and I don't care, and the author doesn't care. Willem is an actor that's really popular, and JB is an artist. He painted a picture of, see, the thing is, before we even hit the second segment, JB pisses off Jude by painting a picture of him when he's in extreme pain because Jude had an accident. What kind of accident? I don't care. I don't care. I cannot bring myself to go back and verify what the accident was. Accident? Did I say accent the whole time? I meant accident. Oh God, fuck it. I'm leaving it there. But anyway, Vanities. Mentioned just once, and it's in regards to Willem's successful acting career. And the thing is, these long blocks of text will drop in later. Oh, by the way, it's 5 years later. Oh, by the way, we're in Jude's perspective. Oh, by the way, we're in JB's perspective. And suddenly, JB has a drug problem. And the reason why him and Jude don't talk is because JB painted a picture of Jude in extreme agony, and Jude was like, the fuck? And Willem was like, yeah, the fuck? And then Willem eventually ends up with Jude at the end. Like, I'm on, I think I yeeted my bookmark. Oh, wait, hold on. I am on page 612. I'm not finishing it. I am this close to finishing it, and I know the ending. I knew the ending from one of the very first pages. Jude ends himself. There you go. He self-harms. He's sad. He doesn't tell anybody. And then, like I said about the author not rereading through her book, you know, that plot twist in movies that feels like it literally comes out of nowhere to where it's like, who the fuck is this? That's how it felt. When we finally get about 300 and some odd pages in the book, then we get a little bit of Jude. And spoiler alert, he was molested by a bunch of priests. He was left on a doorstep of these priests at this Catholic orphanage, and they harmed him, and then one of them convinced him they were going to have a nice father-son relationship, but it was really some grooming creepo relationship where he pimped him out to other grooming creepos. And like I said, this is just pain layered upon pain upon pain. And it's so dense, and it's so incoherently written, like I said, about you reading like 5 pages into this new segment, which, by the way, it's not, it's like randomly. So here's a 1, right? That's a 1. Let's flip until we can find something else. Oh my God. Okay, there's a 2. But randomly, you'll just have to take my word for it because I don't want to have to look that hard. There will just be a little dash right in the middle, and we will have a totally different person's perspective. Anyway, where I am currently in the book is that Jude has already tried to take his life. His doctor, Andy, is literally so mad at him, and I'm sorry I'm saying literally so much, but I can't even with this book. Anyway, Jude tried to take his life once. He got found. The author has divulged that he was molested by priests, and then all that bad stuff happened, and then he has the self-harm problem, and then the cops came and arrested his abuser, but his abuser ended his life beforehand, and it just feels like the author isn't even writing any pain she's ever experienced and hasn't even seen it vicariously. Like, it feels exploitative. Reading this book makes me feel so disconnected from the characters that it's like I am a person who was hired, and based on this feeling, I already knew that in the end, Jude takes his own life. I Googled it just to make sure. That's why I'm not going to finish reading it. Because I have peeked ahead and there's somebody named Trailer something. Dr. Trailer. And where did he come from? Who the fuck is he? We are on page 625 and you're just barely introducing this guy. If you put him in the few chapters, you didn't mention him more than once. You're just like, oh yeah, and here's this thing that I mentioned in passing while I yammered on about other shit for 4 or 5 pages. But anyway, right now, Jude and Willem are in a relationship after Jude has tried to end himself. And Willem is like, yeah, yo, I'm still going to do my acting career, man. And Jude being unable to be on his own. And then it says, enigmatic Jude. And I'm just like, what is so great about him? What? He's sad as fuck and it's bringing me down. This is not the book to read at this time in my life where I'm recovering from a freaking toxic marriage. My divorce was easier than my marriage. Anyway, I'm gonna get to one of the long drawn out. See, all right, it's so many words. It's just, this was not, the author was not told to cut back. The author was not told anything. And here we are. Let's just talk about what I was saying about the odd time jumps that are inconsistent. Sometimes I've looked it up. I've learned past tense is in the past, which she'll switch tenses in the middle of the frickin' page because we're having a flashback. Is it italicized? No. Fuck you. Manage your expectations. Present tense, like he says instead of he said, is in the present. And there's even future tense. There's even he would say. This video is going to be long, and I know I'm rambling and I'm forgetting and I'm interrupting myself, but that's how the book is written. It's altering my fucking brain. I even wrote a script about this, but I'm just like, even that script is fucking meandering and crazy and booga booga. All right, a passage. He has lived in the apartment for more than 4 years now, and for 4 years he's been unable to renovate it because he hasn't had the money, and he hasn't had the money because he was paying off the apartment. That's all one sentence with a few commas spliced in, or whatever. In the meantime, Malcolm has drawn up plans and walled off the bedrooms and helped him choose a sofa which sits a gray spacecraft in the center of the living room and some minor problems including the floors. That's crazy, he told Malcolm at the time. You're gonna have to redo it entirely once the renovation's done. But Malcolm had said he'd do it anyway. The floor dye was a new product he wanted to try, and until he was ready to begin work, Green Street would be his laboratory, where he could do a little experimentation if he didn't mind. And he didn't, of course, but otherwise the apartment is still very much as it was when he moved in. A long rectangle on the 6th floor of the building in southern Soho with windows at either end, one set facing west and the other facing east, and oh my fucking god, as well as the entire southern wall, which looks over a parking lot. His room and bathroom are eastern facing, and my life, which looks onto the top of a stubby building on Mercer Street. Willem's rooms, or what he continues to think of as Willem's rooms, are at the western facing end, which looks over Green Street. There is a kitchen in the middle of the apartment, and there is a bathroom, and in between the two suites of rooms are acres of space. The black floors, shiny as piano keys. It is still an unfamiliar feeling to have so much space and a stranger one to be able to afford it. But you can, he has to remind himself, just as he does when he stands in the grocery store, wondering whether he should buy a tub of the black olives he likes, which are so salty they make his mouth pucker and his eyes water. And bitch, what? Oh my God. So, like, I was listening to somebody rip apart Audra Winter and talk about how she's more words is good words, and how she put something like in the middle of the room, in the middle of the table, there is a tonic that has green stuff, and she just put in a lot of over descriptive. Why is everybody sucking this author's dick when she writes like that? This is stuff that, like, if you were an author, right, and you put this out there to be beta read, to be critiqued, to be whatever, you would get told, trim the fat. Okay, this book belongs on my 600-pound life. And yeah, maybe that's why I hate it. Maybe it's just that she had her little freaking foot, her whole body in the door. She's an editor. She had her whole body in the door. And I'm here, and I'm just like, I read Ava Bellows' book. Gil Bellows is her dad. He was in the Shawshank Redemption. She had that and the fact that she's Carla Gugino's goddaughter. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. I don't know if it's two soft G's, one hard G and a soft G, or two hard G's. But I can bet you $1 billion that Ava had to edit her book and cut a bunch of stuff out, even though a lot of it was tied to her personal life. And even though she had like a little bit of Nepo baby privilege, like fuck her, like not fuck her. I mean, I wouldn't give a fuck if I had Nepo baby privilege. If my parents were actors or authors, bet your ass I'd be fucking milking that. Fuck, who cares? Who cares? It's not a meritocracy. That book doesn't feel like a meritocracy. It feels like, hey, yo, go through and find my typos. Don't find a way to make any sentence easier. So with the Microsoft Word update that just happened, it is running through and finding all of my passive voice. And I'm like, thank you. I will rewrite almost every sentence in here because it just sounds better. There is a lot of passive voice in that. Were sat, was placed. The kitty is ripping it to pieces. Yeah, okay, good, kitty. Do that. I don't even care. And it feels like she used and abused. Yep, it's done. She used and abused her privileges and her powers as an editor to just cough out a book. Like, Lev Grossman wrote the Magicians series. But God, she's gonna do that the whole rest of the time. I'm sorry about the noise, but I don't care enough to get over and get it. Lev Grossman wrote the Magicians series, and it was like an essay on depression. I think it was very allegorical and everything, and the magic sort of took a back seat, but the magic actually happened, and Lev Grossman was also part of the More Words is Good Words club, to where Lev would have Quentin for several pages running his little magical ass off in the Arctic, running from Antarctica to Brakebills, which is in New York. I honestly, there's some times that I just kind of tuned out. And Lev was also repetitive. But you know what about Lev? He at least put some interesting shit in there. There was like magicians and magic and Elliot and defined characters, and it was entertaining even though it was a lot. This book is literally so dense with nothing upon nothing and the minutia of everyday life that I'm just like I said, no, I didn't finish that thought, but I'll finish it now. This book makes me feel so detached from the characters that it's like I've been hired to pick over Jude's life. And that's probably the whole intention. I'm not going to finish it. I don't give a fuck. But the feeling from the very beginning, or at least page 200, which, with how dense this book is, that might as well be the very beginning. What I just read to you was page 200 something. You know what happened in between page 200 something and page 600 something? Almost sweet Fanny Adams. Anyway, I'm hired to pick over Jude's life. He's passed away. And I'm left with cryptic entries like that fucking Stone Sour song. I'm left with the knowledge that he's a lawyer, the knowledge that these people were his friends, the knowledge that this person painted a picture of him because he was so enigmatic, and watching him suffer and be in pain was just interesting. And I'm left with knowing from his doctor that he had a really bad self-harm problem. I'm left knowing that some bad things happened to him at this priest orphanage place, this boy's home. I'm left knowing he was groomed and molested, and it's horrible. And then suddenly out of nowhere, hey, yo, there's more pain. Why the fuck not? Like, Dr. Trailer, who's that? Who gives a shit? And I'm going over and I'm getting second and third and fourth hand accounts of somebody's life. And I feel so emotionally detached from it that all that's left are birth certificates, innocuous photos, cryptic journal entries, receipts, taxes, death certificates, testimonials, because of course the one or two, like the other relationship that Jude's in, because of what happened to him, he's asexual. Of course that guy is over the top abusive, kicking him down a flight of stairs, and then suddenly we get paragraphs about the axiom of equality. He's flying down the stairs and we're talking math. Like, fuck you. Oh, and out of nowhere, along with the tenses switching up and the long run-on sentences and the absolute grating fucking more words is good words, Harold's POV comes in. We got very limited POVs of not Willem, but JB and Malcolm. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Oh, hey, yeah, ooh, whoop-de-frickin-do. One of them has an addiction problem. And honestly, it seems like Malcolm's staying away from these soul-sucking freaking nightmare people. That maybe that's why he, he has a more happy life. It's like you're 24, then you're 25, then you're like 45. It's just, it's literally so inconsistently written that I can't. Anyway, we get Harold's perspective. What happens in Harold's perspective? First person narrative. Sometimes present tense, sometimes past tense, sometimes future tense. I'm going to punch a wall. Everybody I know has experienced trauma, and it affects us all in different ways, but trauma has layers like an onion or a cake or a souffle or bricks. The trauma with Jude has no layers. It's just guilt and shame, guilt and shame. Don't talk about it. Oh, it's too painful to talk about. It's too painful to talk about. Talk about your fucking feelings. And it's just like, you can't go on for 870 some odd pages with just sadness. Not even sadness so much as it's just like poorly written pain porn. I'm fine with pain porn. I love pain porn. I have a playlist for when I'm feeling like bathing with the toaster, called 13 Songs for 13 Reasons. I'm surprised it's not like 13 Nine Inch Nails songs. I'm the type of person that the Nine Inch Nails song Eraser plays, and it's by that loud fucking cacophonous noise, drums everywhere, Trent screaming, kill me. Then I'm just like, ah, yes, soothing. But everybody else is reading this book and they're going sobbing on the floor, crying, wailing, and I'm like, really? Because it's too dense and there's too much in it? Because nothing happens but everything happens? Because time goes by really achingly, painfully agonizingly slow, and then suddenly there's a time jump and it's not clear. It's not clear. It is so unclear who's talking, where they are, how old they are, till we're 800 words into the goddamn section. Where are we? You know, when we were learning that Jude was badly messed around by the people at that orphanage that he was dropped off on, I swear it was 3 pages before they said, we're going to give you a name, and that's Jude St. Francis. And I'm like, oh, okay, finally. $400 pages less, and that's being generous. It could have even been 500 pages less. We don't need books this long. I don't give a fuck, okay? What the hell? I hate books this long. I don't give a shit. I tried to reread The Stand, and oh my god, Stephen King and his Baby Can You Dig Your Man? Oh, M-O-O-N. That spells perspicacious. All the other shit, mayhap it is, mayhap it isn't. And I'm like, why are you guys allowed to get away with so many words? I can't. I honestly think some of these blurbs and some of these praising reviews were bought. Oh, and the cover, like, I guess it's from a boy having an orgasm. That looks like the most painful orgasm I've ever seen. Looks like he's taking a poop. That's something the main character doesn't ever get. He can't even get hard when he and Willem have sex. He has to push himself to have sex, and he doesn't enjoy it. And I can't be around people anymore who don't enjoy life. I can't bring myself to do that, even if they're fiction. I'm glad this book was only $6. I'd really have to have hated to pay like $22 and suffered. I really just wish it would have been chapter Jude, chapter Willem, chapter JB, chapter Harold. And I wish it was the same tense throughout. And I wish that the memories were italicized. I wish there wasn't so many goddamn semicolons. This person abuses semicolons and commas harder than William Faulkner does. There was a quote that I liked by William Faulkner, something about the decline of man, but it won't hold up to today's standards because there's so much word proximity to a point where it's just like there are passages in that book where it's like, would he ever, would he ever, would he ever, would she ever, would anyone ever just make this not so dense? Like, don't hold my hand. You don't need to hold my hand, but can you not toss me into the fucking back rooms with no flashlight, and there's just like a clomping hooved beast chasing me, and you didn't even give me a map, and you're like, so long, try your best. Can you not throw in a bunch of extra characters? Like, I found myself wanting to watch Suits, and just, I needed a palate cleanser. I need to watch Rick Hoffman be a goofy bastard on that show. Hell, I will rewatch I will rewatch the Marbles episode of Squid Game, and that fucked me sideways. I was in that couch over there, sobbing, snot crying, yelling at the TV because it affected me. Like, you know how a few months ago I reviewed Ian Kirkpatrick's book and I said I didn't like Joey? Comparatively, Joey at least made me feel something. Like, I'm annoyed, but I'm not annoyed at the pain the characters are going through. I'm not annoyed at the layering on of pain porn. I'm annoyed at the author sucking herself off and not taking any sort of editing. This girl didn't edit. Like, no, this was not developmentally edited, and you can't tell me it was. If this was developmentally edited, honestly, I feel like the author probably just bribed her developmental editor, blackmailed her, him, her, them. I don't care. And there's so many like identity politics in it. Almost everybody's gay. And at the end, when Willem is in love with Jude, he's talking to his agent or his publicist, and he says, I'm not gay. I'm in a relationship with a man. And it's just like that one scene in Law & Order SVU where all those football players are banging each other. And there's somebody that died because they were trying to get the rumor out about the gayness. And then that one football player says, I'm not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men. And then Ice-T says, that makes you gay. And then Willem says, I can't quite remember, but it says something like, no, that doesn't make me gay. And it's like, what does it make you? Does it make you bisexual? Like, and then the agent just does a, sure, Jan. And you know, for a book that's 870 some odd pages long, you would think I would have more to say about it. But I'm starting to see why a lot of reviews of this book are 15 minutes at the most. And you know what? I was going to put in a whole bunch of funny little stupid goofy bastard clips. But I feel like that's way too much effort to put into a book that makes me want to just drive into oncoming traffic. This could have been great. I could have loved this if it was less dense, less overly written, less is more. Less is okay. Like, there's so many people that are out there and they're like, if I'm too much for you, go find less. Rebecca, I will find less. This book is, I'm going to find less. I'm going to pick up anything. I will pick a book at random. Like I said in my short, right? I read the books while I work out. When I first, this time last year, I was 320 pounds. Now, I went and I weighed myself yesterday. I'm 250. And back when I was on one of my many weight loss journeys, performing Amberlyn Reed weight loss journeys, where I start out 210 and end up 320. I don't know how the fuck that happens, other than I hate myself. And I eat my feelings. But I would read books, because that kept me going. And before I knew it, the hour was up. I'm not on the treadmill. I'm not on the bike. Holy crap, I'm done. No, man, this book is so long. It's just like, usually you can read 40 pages in an hour, right? That's what the average is, according to Google. 40 pages on this book. You know that one, it's odd that she should mention that Willem is in the Odysseus. Oh, fuck. Why? The audacity. That Willem is playing Odysseus in the Odyssey on a play in Broadway or something, because there's a part, I believe, in the Iliad and the Odyssey, it's been 1,000 years since I've read that, where he is loved up by those sirens, and he is there for like 5 days, but he's really there for 5 years. But reverse that. He's there for what feels like 5 years, but it's really just 5 days. Things I would rather do that would take a lot less longer. Be in a waiting room. Be stuck in traffic. Drive to Arizona right fucking now and don't stop. Hold in my pee. Work a double shift. Have a conversation with the most boring person I know. Stare into the void and be alone with my thoughts. I would rather do all of that than finish this book. I can't. I had like a crappy night at work, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I need a release. I need an emotional release. I need alcohol. And I'm trying not to drink. This video is probably not going to be edited. I don't even care. I'm at almost 40 minutes, but oh God, 1 star. I think I'm going to copy and paste the notes I have that I wrote for this video. And that's it. Why? Why do I suffer? Why do I push myself to suffer? That's about it. See ya.